Every morning, the countdown begins for the markets with meticulous research and analysis designed to help you capitalize on the trading day. Beaming live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studio.
This reform is not just on rationalizing rates. It's also on structural reforms. It's also on ease of living, so that businesses can do their business of working together with the GST with a great ease.
Well, that's the finance minister late night announcements, and absolutely historic. India has ushered a new GST regime. That's point number one, big rate rationalization. Government's big consumption boost. I mean, the across-the-board GST cuts. And by the way, as CNBC TV 18 reported, so it has been across the board, every single item. Will this lead to a big consumption boost, especially on the mass market side? That's a big question. And of course, the important bit, rate cuts are from the 22nd of September, which basically means that they capture the festive season. They're not, very delayed. They're not sort of to be implemented from a far-out date. They are from the 22nd of September. That's very important. And of course, two-slab structure, 5%, 18%, in terms of where the rates now stand. The 12 and 28 is gone. Most of 12 is in 5. Most of 28 is in 18. No cess, 40% for sin and luxury goods. So very few items in the 40% category. We will talk about that as well. But there is no cess on top of it. 40% is the maximum rate. And as I said, all CNBC TV 18 news breaks confirmed from the first to the last, every single one of them. And I think it's a proud moment for all of us here. You're with us here on a slightly early start on Bazaar Morning Call. We are coming to you live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Surbi and Nigel. Guys, good morning.
Hi, guys.
Morning.
Good morning. What a GST bonanza, a GST blockbuster. I don't think we have enough adjectives. It was announced on the 15th of August by the Prime Minister from the ramparts of the Red Fort. It's been delivered. And you know what really stood out for me? This was supposed to be a two-day meeting.
Yeah.
It all got wrapped up in day one. And, all kudos to Timsy out there, because she told us exactly what those proposals were going to be. And it's, I think digit by digit, percentage by percentage, that's exactly what the council has approved.
Well, that's right. Timsy has been bang on over the last few days, and we here at CNBC TV 18 have report almost everything that actually did come out officially, and we were reporting late into the night. But today, the markets got what it wanted. So, Prashant, let's get straight to the action.
Absolutely. Surbi, by the way, you stayed up the wrong night. The day before yesterday, right?
No, I was awake. Watching. And you know what? The Prime Minister, remember the last council meeting? She must have said, you guys made so much of fun of the popcorn business and the caramel and the salted. I'll give you the big one this time. And that's the way she announced in the press conference.
Absolutely. Let's take it from the top then, right, in terms of what you need to know. The big major GST rate rationalization announcements are through. That's essentially point number one. And we'll get into individual stock sectors in just a bit from now. And of course, as we told you, all our news breaks are confirmed. So the new GST structure is effective 22nd of September. So the government's been cognizant of the fact that they don't want purchases to be deferred because, there'll be lower rates sometime down the line. They're right now, which means it's the start of the festive season. And in that sense, they've thought that through as well. Expect improved affordability to give a fillip to consumption. Of course, the question really is how much, and that will depend from sector to sector, company to company, and we will get you a whole variety of responses to this as we go along. 12%, 28% are gone. 12's mostly moved to 5. 20 has moved to 8. New 40% slab for sin and ultra luxury goods. But there is no additional compensation cess above the 40% rate. And I think this is a very important point. So the maximum rate here now is 40%, which is I think, crucial and critical. So GST rates either remain unchanged or go lower for most items, except maybe, apparels above a certain value and things like that. Otherwise, across the board, it's either a cut or they remain where they were earlier. So I think this is very, very good. As I said, we'll get to stock sectors in a bit. I just want to tell you about US equities, etc. as well, slightly higher. So no real headwind from there. US markets were sliding a little bit, starting to crack a little bit, but 0.5%, 1% on the S&P, NASDAQ respectively. The 10-year was down about 4 basis points. Dollar index was down about 1/4. Oil prices, they went down 2.5%. And there were reports, Reuters reported that OPEC is meeting on Sunday. They may consider another output increase. So maybe oil's got more to go here, which is not exactly a bad thing. Now, just the levels, right? Tying in the levels. Nifty yesterday closed slightly above the 20-day moving average. Maybe the market got a bit of a whisper. So starting 1:30 yesterday, the Nifty zoomed. It was a 2-day meeting. Announcement came late last night, but maybe the market got a bit of a whiff, at least at the index level. Immediate resistance is the 61.8% retracement of the fall. The recent fall, by the way, which is 24,878. That's the first stop. And we'll see if we've got enough in the tank. I think we do for the market to at least get to the upper end of the range. Support stands at the low, which is 24,404. The Nifty bank resistance, again, is a 61.8% retracement of the recent fall, 54,777. And the support stands at 53,561. So I think we are in for a good session on a headline overall basis in terms of individual stocks. We'll have to see, depending on pre-positioning, what has done well, what has not done well, etc. GIFT Nifty is indicating a 150-point higher start. Let's get the F&O set up. Positioning, I think that's important. Nigel is standing by. Nigel.
Well, that's right. The markets have got what it wanted, right? And that's why the GIFT Nifty is suggesting a gap up. But at the end of today, you'll want to end with these gains. The question is, will this GST rationalization be enough to trap the bears on the wrong side? That's going to be very, very important. And in today's trade, a couple of sectors will be in focus. NASDAQ ended higher. You normally see a bit of a positive rub-off on the Nifty IT index. As it has been an underperformer. Yesterday ended lower as well. So that will support one end, while the consumption stocks as well should do well. But the big mover really will be if the Nifty bank, that after a while outperformed yesterday. We saw a bit of a short covering bounce that played out there. That's the key. Can the Nifty bank find its form and at least move in line with the Nifty, if not lead the way? That's going to be the important mover for today's trading session. What happened in trade yesterday? Well, the institutions for the last few trading sessions, they have been net buyers. And yesterday was no different because the DI buying it offset the FI selling. And that's been the trend for the last few trading sessions. So that's a positive. But in the index futures, we're looking at what did they do? What did the FIs do? Well, in fact, there was no short covering yesterday. On the whole, there was some short addition that we saw. The short positioning is at an extreme level of around 92%. And in the last few trading sessions, we have seen a bit of a bounce. And actually, the FI net short positions from around 1.68 lakh contracts, that's gone all the way to around 1.82 lakh contracts. So that big short covering bounce that we are talking about, that's yet to take place. And that will give bulls some kind of hope that that's still in the offing. Even if you don't see the big cash market buying in from the FIs, these shorts in the system should hold us in good stead. Moving to the options data, then you have a couple of strikes that were active. The 24,700 call. Well, there was some addition in yesterday's trading session. From the high, actually, there was some unwinding. So that's going to be the crucial mark. While on the downside, the 24,050 put, that did see a good amount of open interest build up. So going by the options data and going by the recent resistance, we did a U-turn from around the 22,750 mark, 24,750, 24,800. That's going to be the important mark, while support comes in at around 24,400. The Nifty bank, the 20 and the 100 DMA, that's the range that you're looking at in terms of a resistance mark. So we'll keep an eye out on that. While the stock that we're looking at is, yesterday towards the end of trade, we said RBL Bank is likely to move into the F&O ban, and that's precisely what's happened. So that's a stock we'll keep on the radar.
Okay, all right. Globally, just remember one more headline to keep in mind, that the US administration has moved the Supreme Court. There's no date yet as to when the court will rule on that 50% on the overall reciprocal tariffs, but it should happen in the next couple of weeks. Let's